The time being 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I
Has
move
ev-
to approve the minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9 o'clock. Sheriff Inglet, would you like to come up, please?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
What I'm here for this morning is looking for the board to accept the federal boating safety sub-grant through the Minnesota DNR. It's for a more shallow water rescue / patrol boat. We've gotten, our lowest bid was from SW Marine out of Pella, Iowa, for $19,130, and the grant would cover that 100%.
Now, is this in addition to the boat that we already have, or does it
This is
replace
in
it?
addition to it, yes.
Okay.
We'll be replacing what I guess they've called the rescue boat for years. It's like a 1985 14-foot
Okay.
fishing boat.
Mm-hmm.
Currently is stored at the Brownsville Fire Department. And they would have access to it, the sheriff's office would have access to it. Essentially what we're buying here is what I would refer to as a duck hunter's dream. It's an Excel flat bottom boat. It's designed for duck hunting.
Mhm.
The motor that we're purchasing is a Mud Buddy surface drive. So essentially there wouldn't be any waters in Houston County that we couldn't navigate with that. It'll go in as water as shallow as 3 to 4 inches.
So will
It's
it
designed to go through mud and stuff
Mhm.
like that, weeds.
still be housed in Brownsville?
That's our plan, yes.
Where the water is.
Brownsville Fire Department, we'd like to get them trained on operating it and so forth next spring and stuff. But when you look at our, at the upper Mississippi maps, we've got a lot of lakes and sloughs down there in the Brownsville, Reno area.
Yep.
There's a lot of fishing and duck hunting done in those areas, too.
Yes, yes. And even like Blue Lake and Target Lake in La Crescent area. Right now, the boat we have has like a 25-horse Johnson outboard motor. I believe that's a mid-'80s vintage too. But that boat we couldn't utilize in like Blue Lake, for example, or Target Lake because of the outboard status. It's too shallow and it's too weedy. So, next to the airboat that the DNR has, I believe this would be the only boat that we'd be able to utilize for those types of incidents.
How many boats does the county have?
We have the two, the new one that we purchased last year, the patrol.
And then that
boat,
older one?
And this old one, yes.
So are we thinking of getting rid of the old one if we get this new one?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of money we get out of the old one, but yeah, we
don't
have
need
a
to have
for that anymore.
Right.
Online auction,
Probably, yes. Probably wait till spring though, so
seasonal.
seasonal
Yeah.
thing, yes.
I move to approve the grant request.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Good thing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Real quick, Steve Kuplinski, is there anything that he's called, just since I got you in front of us, is there anything that as the board we need to know or do?
Oh, not at this time, we're just in the process of filing.
That's it, right, just one second.
It's-
Okay.
At this point, it's just a records request. What I make of it.
For the most part,
Yeah.
yes. He wants to file complaints about investigations that he claims didn't happen and stuff like that.
He's called numerous times, and I just kept saying, refer them to your office or to the attorney's office. I said, our hands are kind of tied, but,
Yeah,
okay.
yep,
All right, thank you.
okay. Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, how about if we move on to the consent agenda? We have some correspondence from payroll regarding recent hires and changes.
Yeah, move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone's looked at the claims, human services, and license center disbursements. Can I have a motion to approve that, please?
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we need to confirm MCIT voting delegates.
We have you as the delegate, Steve. Are you
Mhm,
gonna go
I am
over? You're
attending,
planning
yes.
on going? Okay.
Okay, so we're good there?
Should be.
So we don't need to vote or anything on it, just confirm it, correct? Okay, and we took care of the Southeast Service Cooperative Board ballots.
Yep.
And we could move on to commissioner reports. Commissioner Chomey?
I had no meetings last week. I'd like to just bring up something I thought, and that was our meeting rooms. We do meet here currently, but I was looking at some of the videos of Board of Adjustments, planning, zoning, et cetera, and we spent $65,000 over there. Would we ever consider moving our meetings down there instead of, because I know Andy's talking about we gotta do $65,000 here to upgrade our video. The sound and the video down there now that's awesome, and they have all the audio visual pull down stuff.
Mhm.
When you see the planning and zoning on the online, they put down what we're looking at. All of the support materials come down with it, and it's, I just thought it'd probably be better spending of taxpayer money if we thought about having our board meetings in the CJC building. Is there any I'd like a discussion, what would be the obstacles for that?
We would just have to have it booked. I think it's used frequently for other meetings, so we would have to have it, permanently booked. That would
Andy
be the
did a
only
good
thing.
job of making that
Does that
room really
have to be
accessible.
designated available for emergencies
So that would be the-
too?
65,000.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we could do with the new board in
Right.
January, have
That's my thought.
discussion.
I
at
just
that
want to bring it
time.
up to have people thinking about it.
That's a good point, because you have the audio, you have everything in place.
Yeah, elevator, it's a handicap access. The reason we don't have the planning and zoning here is because they can't get up on here.
Mhm.
That's why we moved it, and that's why we invested 65,000 to make it accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're probably right, the new board should.
Mhm.
That's a good
60
thing to think about, though.
yeah.
have-
The investment for 65,000 was basically audio visual. It did not work, and we were getting public complaints about
Yeah.
it
It's,
not
now it's
working.
state of the art.
Yeah.
I think we should be proud of what we've got down there. It's very good, very clear, very easy to hear.
Good.
Audio's good. Okay, well, it's on record now.
That was good. I think Dan is here, huh?
Okay, we can continue with Commissioner Walter after we get back to this. Mr. Cheska and Ms. Bauer, would you like to come up also?
I'm just here today about the optometry flight for next year. We talked about it during the budget hearings, but we're going to use the Recorder's Compliance Fund to pay for it, and we have to get a court motion to use that fund. It's the second flight of the contract we signed 4 years ago. It's the $79,000 for the flight, and then we're doing a $5,500. They're doing building outlines for us for our GIS. We haven't had those done since '93. And that's a pretty good price to do it if we lump it in with the flight. So
What is the building outline, what does that do?
we get like a layer in our GIS of every outline of the buildings. The things that does for you is we're going to be doing address points now in the cities. So I can give those to the cities, and we're going to work on getting all those done for the next Gen 911 project. So we'll have an address point on each of those.
So
Okay.
as it flies over, it can tell.
Actually, what they do is in post-processing, when they're going through and rectifying the images, they have someone digitizing each building.
Oh, wow.
An outline of it. And as time goes on now, I mean, we'll be able to look at our change from now since '93, which is gonna be a lot. But from here forward, then we'll be able to tell which are new structures too from what's there now.
Be good for the assessor's office.
Yep. There's gonna be a lot of uses for it.
Mhm.
And Bev obviously is okay since she's sitting here agreeing to this.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say is, Dan did say that this is gonna be spread over a 3-year for payments. So that's a pretty nice chunk to be coming out of here besides everything that already is, so we're gonna have to be careful in the future.
Where are we at? Because it seems like we're always pulling from that account. You know, I mean, as far as you know, like licensing for software. You know, all these annual reoccurring things. If we add more, I mean, we're obviously okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. Between this and the annual maintenances and everything that comes out for, it's mainly Dan's or the counties for the GIS is what comes out of there. It's gonna put us a little less than 100,000 in there. So I watch it pretty carefully, so I just always want to point out that, you know, when people say, hey, how about the compliance fund, you really need to check it first.
Great.
Dan, do you want to, just for the record, state what your title is? Because since the recording and people see it, they might not know what you are or who you are.
GIS E911 coordinator.
Thank you.
All right. So you just need approval for taking for the pictometry from the compliance fund. Sure. I will move that we use money from the compliance fund to pay for the pictometry.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know who this Dan person is, so when he
He's
comes in,
from-
will you let me know?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Dave
Com-
Walter will be with him.
Okay. Commissioner Walter, would you like to continue?
I did have one meeting last week. I went to the AMC meeting. It was actually a workshop all afternoon last Wednesday on running effective meetings and leadership with civility. It was really informational. It was a combination of townships, counties, school boards, and cities, city boards, and elected officials. And they covered things like Robert rules, and as any boards under the number of 12 and under can use the informal version of Robert Rules of Order. And she did give us, one of the people gave us a little cheat sheet on the Robert Rules for motions and stuff, and recommended different books and a larger for small boards. And so I found out that we really are following it pretty darn close, the Robert Rules. And then it talked about our meetings, our business meetings, and to have respect for the people and each other, and the chair and the mayor are the key to the board, and do have to have control and run the meeting. And then they had a whole segment on public comment, and it was really interesting because we had so many different boards, and they did emphasize to remember it's first a business meeting, and at the first of the year you set up your parameters of how you want public comment period. Everybody there, and there were about 50 some of us, have 2 to 3 minute public comment. Most of them have it at the end of the meeting so that people can bring up things that they heard at the meeting, and that we get our business done first. And they gave us sheets on all the parameters and recommendations of that. And then we did have one about working well with the press and developing relationships with them, and it was very interesting. Went for 4 or 5 hours, and was
It's just great. It's like every board member should attend it because it's
it was
that
awesome.
good. Yeah.
I'm glad we got that information from AMC. And I do have information if anybody wants, I brought home from the meeting, so it was good.
Good. I'm glad that you found it as good as I did. I thought it was one of the best.
It was good. It was well done.
Mhm.
5 speakers, and they were just dynamic.
Yep.
And that was my main meeting last week.
Okay, and we'll take a break now, and we'll have Dan Wermager, correct? And Dave Walter come forward from Soil and Water. Do you know what
Yeah,
Dan
I'm just here to introduce Dan Mermager. He's a fresh hire from Mark. Yep, that's Mark, technician with the district. And we, of course, administer the watershed, water plan through our office for the county. And Dan will explain today on a resolution that we'd like you to consider.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recognize Dan, and he's been to all my Southeastern Minnesota Water Resource Boards, and I was taking notes for whenever you're the president of the Water Resource Board, it's up to the Soil and Water to provide somebody to do minutes, and Dan has been at all my meetings. He's been wonderful, and I want to publicly thank Dan for doing that. Thank you.
No problem, Nate. Okay, so, yeah, I've been in contact with Bowser's and Board of Water and Sewer Resources from the state. And as you may know, for the river watershed, for the entire watershed, they're making a comprehensive watershed management plan, they call it. So instead of having a water management plan on political boundaries, Bowser wants everyone to do it within the watershed natural boundaries. So that will take over most of the county that's within the river watershed. But one problem with Houston County is there's one corner up in the La Crescent area, that Pine Creek watershed area, that's not going to be considered in this new comprehensive watershed plan. So that one's gonna, it drains north into like Winona County more. So what's gonna happen, Bowser is telling me that up in Winona County for the Whitewater River and all those surrounding watersheds, they're also doing a comprehensive watershed management plan, just like the river, one watershed, one plan type deal. So he said our Pine Creek, La Crescent area, if you can see on that little map, that watershed, which is what, 5% of the county, will eventually be absorbed into that other comprehensive watershed plan for the Whitewater River. But they're not as far ahead as us. It's going to be a few years, he's saying, before that gets complete. So until that happens, me and him wrote up this resolution of intent to develop a comprehensive watershed management plan for the Mississippi Winona watershed, which that Mississippi Winona one is part of the La Crescent watershed, I was saying. So yeah, he wants you guys to pass this resolution and give us the okay to move forward and move forward with working with Winona County and others to do a comprehensive watershed management plan, not a local water management plan, a comprehensive one for this watershed that's in our county. And
Quite confusing.
Yeah.
So
it's quite the process.
you'll remember the buzzword one watershed, one plan, which Dino is very familiar with. And we also have our local water plan. Our local water plan gets updated every 5 years and a new one every 10 years. Well, it's to the 10-year mark. So right now we have the one watershed, one plan that's getting ready to be adopted. So that's going to take care of 95% of Houston County. This little 5% down in the La Crescent area will, the resolution will extend that another 5 years. So next year, Dan and I and the water plan will be updating that local one.
Yep.
And then once the Whitewater, one watershed, one plan gets developed and passed, it will get absorbed into that.
So why didn't they, I'm very familiar with the Pine Creek.
Right,
I live on
right.
it. But why didn't that get included with the Root River plan?
Yep, so when they did their boundaries, they just excluded that one to the Whitewater watershed. We wish we could have gotten it in, so the whole county could have just that one plan.
Right.
But they didn't approve that section. If you remember, like Bear Creek, Duck Creek, Crooked Creek, Winnebago, that all got absorbed into the watershed one plan, Brook River.
Right.
Yeah, I even talked to Bowser if we could annex that into it, but they said that wasn't an option. So
Is it because of the direction the water's flowing?
That's the biggest thing, yeah. So,
Now, is that gonna screw us up or just make life more difficult having two different plans in the same county, or is it not a big deal?
it's not gonna be a big deal. It will be a little bit clumsy, you know, at times having maybe two different grants at the same time, but like I said, we run 13, 15 different programs out of the office anyways, you know, so it's just a grant tracking.
Sure.
Yeah, so I wish life was easy.
Now, with the one watershed, one plan, looking at this is more of a, if I'm understanding this correctly, more of a regional deal.
Right.
So that we're kind of all consistent throughout that area, right?
Right, so like Dan was saying, for years and years and years, it was political boundaries, county boundaries. Then the state's looking at, well, why does one county have their priorities and a different county has different priorities, which is good, you know. Let's have all the same priorities and treat that whole watershed, which makes sense, you know. But it's a huge area. The river watershed is 1 million acres to begin with, and then you have all these sub-watersheds that gets up to 1.3 million acres that you want to get treated. And we're at the bottom end of the whole works, you know. So it's very complicated. Is it going to be another layer of government? We're hoping to, as 2017, not a lot's going to happen. So just to recap everything, the state had that tax increase at 3/8 of 1% a few years back, and 3/4 of that revenue goes for the water quality issues. Well, that's so competitive statewide that we're not even in the running most of the time. So now, with this big watershed, it gives more pull to gather some of those grant monies, and also there's a from that, $400,000, is it $4 million that revenue is, a big portion of that is competitive grants. They want to tip that to have more earmarked for these watersheds. So let's hope that you guys remember, that Bowser gives you guys a block grant every year and give you that up. We're hoping that this gets a block grant, so we're not continuing applying for these grants. This takes a lot of time and effort to apply for grants. It's another employee just applying for grants. So we'll see where it goes.
So with two different plans, the regional one and then the Whitewater one, do we have two different joint boards that will be managing
Right.
this? Okay.
Yes, probably so. Yeah. Right now, we'll be up the joint power board.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
But that probably won't be within, 5 years?
Probably, it takes a good year and a half just to write the plan, and they weren't picked this year, or they didn't apply for it this year, so they'll apply for it in the end of 17. So then in 18 and half of 19, they'll be drafting that plan. So, yeah, 2020 in place.
It floods down there all the time, though.
You know what, time keeps moving, doesn't it? So,
Yep. So yeah, I was talking to Adam Bowlke from Bowser. Yeah, he just said basically, if you guys pass this, it'll give us the okay to move forward. And, first you have to mess with our local plan. First you have to get an extension from Bowser for 5 years. Then we could move forward with amending it to focus our local plan just on the Crescent Pine Creek area. And then we could move from there to convert it or absorb into the Whitewater One Watershed. That's the process.
So we'll, during the amendment process, we'll have our regular monthly meetings, water plan meetings, and then we'll set priorities. We'll have a committee, citizen committee, and focus just on the Pine Creek area, more urban maybe, rain gardens, sort of thing. Also a lot of egg land back in Pine Creek, back by Mount Forest, in that area too. So we'll take bits on both urban and rural in that area. So hone in just on that for each area. Last few years.
So how is everyone feeling about the resolution of intent to develop comprehensive watershed management plan for the Mississippi Winona watershed? Is this something that we want to pursue, follow up with the resolution?
I don't think we have any real choice here.
Yeah, I
We
believe
have
we
to-
do want to pursue it.
We have to.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have a motion to pursue it?
I'll make a motion to pursue the water management plan for Mississippi Winona watershed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you all.
Just a
Thanks,
tiny
Dara.
sense of one
Thank
little
you.
section.
But this is everyone, I think of.
Ms. Kruger?
This one. But yeah, that was good.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This morning, I'm here to ask to hire Mr. Eric Schmidt as a probationary county surveyor, C44 Step 8, at an hourly rate of $31.10 per hour, effective January 3rd, 2017. Mr. Schmidt has interviewed with us, I guess it's been a week or so ago, and came to the table with 6.5 years experience, and of course has a Minnesota license to survey in the state of Minnesota. So,
I think he'll be a good addition to our county. Would anyone like to make the motion to approve the hiring of Eric
I make that a
Schmidt?
motion?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I know I talked to Teskin about it too, that, it's a tough one that we had one candidate. I know we talked about the fact that he has 6.5 years of experience. I know from myself personally, I kind of being at the head of some controversial situations with only 6.5 years of experience, I have some reservation as far as that goes. Will it be an issue? Hopefully not. But I don't know enough about surveying to know what a good number of years for experience would be. If there is, a lot of it is personally how you control situations and experience, but that was kind of one of my big hang-ups, was that we had one individual and, from what I saw, limited experience. But
Well, and this isn't the only person that we've interviewed, though.
well, we had one
So-
other individual.
Right, and we
that
had
was for a
it
part-time
as
basis,
filled,
yeah.
so then you do end up interviewing people, usually one person at a time. And I think that we're very fortunate to get him. I think that he'll be an asset to our county. And just having talked with surveyors around the state, I think that this is a great place to work, and that's what gets us the people that we get for surveyors. And I think that he'll do a good job.
I know a lot about surveying. I think he'll do just fine too.
So do we have a motion second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Secondly, along with that, I am requesting a mobile computing device stipend for Mr. Schmidt. Obviously not effective until he begins work here.
Do you have a motion to approve that stipend?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Speaking of that, cell phone for John, do we need to go through that whole deal?
For our human service director.
He should, okay, yes.
I mean, we should
If
get
it
him
has not
approved
been-
for that to get,
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. So I would recommend that he's entitled to the $50 mobile computing device. I have to read, mobile computing device stipend.
yes,
So-
For Mr. John Paglisa,
yep, and I
who
will,
is the Human Service Director.
Motion made.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Figure we should get that going since he'll be using that.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll have our human services update. Mr. Fukiza. Welcome.
How's first full week?
It's
Or
going
week and a
great.
half?
I've got everything figured out.
Good.
Oh, goodness. No, it's been great. I'm very excited to be here. Really enjoying getting to know people, getting to know staff, getting to know different other department folks. Houston County is a very welcoming place, and everywhere I go, people are friendly and helpful. Really have enjoyed it. So, thank you to you guys. Thank you to the community, to staff of Human Services. Thank you to Mary Marshall. Mary's been great, handing off duties and things that she's been doing. I really feel very, very well prepared and very grateful for that. So, a couple of things that I wanted to touch on today was first that, just, it's my first week. And, I think I have to apologize to you guys because I went back to Bemidji this weekend to do some packing, and there was 14 inches of snow up there. So this morning, as I got out and was coming into work, there's sleet and snow, so I may have something to do with that. I don't know. If that's the case, I
If you only do it this one time all winter, we'll be good with that.
So, anyway, on my first day here, we started an audit and review process with the Department of Human Services for our child protection operations and in-home counseling or in-home services. It's a pretty extensive process that really the state of Minnesota operationalizes the statutes that govern how child protection and in-home services operate. And so they go to each county on a certain rotation and they make sure that we're doing things the way we are supposed to and that it's consistent with the statute and the intent of the law. The last time it was done here in Houston County was 2010. It's a rotation that is based on case numbers and a variety of other things that is difficult for us to predict. I think that is by design. They don't want us to know they're coming to take a look so that we kind of clean things up or whatever. So prior to my arrival, Bethany Mullen, who is the supervisor in social services, did a lot of preparatory work for this review. There's a self-assessment process, and it's a pretty extensive document in pulling together a variety of different things. There's also a case review, and so the state randomly selects different cases, and we have to prepare those so that when the reviewers are here, they can see everything that's part of those cases. While they're on site, and they were on site for the first 4 days of last week, they do a variety of case review, looking at the paper files and processes, policies, all of those things. They also do a lot of interviews with parents who we're working with, partners, staff, and all of that. So it's a very extensive review. There was a little bit of concern coming into it. You know, there's been transition in human services and how all that was going to go. I can tell you that at our exit interview on Thursday, there are 7 main outcomes that they look for in this review. 6 of those outcomes, Houston County improved pretty dramatically since the last review. One of them, they stayed the same. So we didn't decline in any of those areas that they come to look at us on. Really a remarkable review, given a variety of different circumstances. One thing that's worth noting is that the review period is kind of like this window of time that they say, okay, we're going to look at the stuff that happened between this date and this date. Well, those dates in Houston County, the staff was short-staffed due to some turnover and transition, and they were also in the process of bringing in new staff, and there's a requisite learning curve and training that takes place. So there's a lot of pinch hitting that was taking place during that time. It really is a pretty impressive report to see that kind of performance. One of the things that gave me the most encouragement was the discussion of how our staff interact with the people they're serving. As they interviewed parents who are experiencing a child protection incident, it generally isn't an enjoyable experience, and yet they reported that they were treated professionally, they understood what was going on, they felt as good as can be expected about the situation. That really speaks volumes about the caliber of staff that you have here in Houston County that's providing these services. I was very impressed and very encouraged, so, and I hope you are as well. Any quick questions or anything on that?
No, great. It's great to hear good stuff about our staff like that. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, and you know, it also says a lot about your leadership and the people who have been involved in the work to organize and have staff doing the work that they're doing. So, yesterday we also had a review from an organization called Optum. What you'll find in human services is there are many different layers of government and different entities and all sorts of different reviews and audits that happen on a fairly regular basis. Optum is related to Medica that provides a portion of the medical assistance services in Houston County. And so they came in yesterday and they looked at a variety of different files and are we consistent with what we're supposed to be doing there? They told us that 85 is a passing grade, and there were 2 areas that they looked at. One was kind of structural stuff, what policy is like, everything also like handicapped accessibility, different types of things that have to do with the structure of your organization, policy, procedure, and then a case review. The kind of the facility and structure, policy, procedure, we got an 85. So that's a passing grade, and there's a few things that we can look at there. But really a very positive, very solid mark there. As they looked at the case reviews, we received a 98, and were frequently cited as having some of the best process and case noting and case assessment and treatment plans. When you're working with an individual with a need, it's based on, we assess what their needs are, and then we design a treatment plan to be able to meet those needs. And you need something that's objective so that you can measure progress. We were marked very, very high on that. Again, it's a real testament to the caliber of staff. So this was different than child protection staff. This was more adult and children's services. So very encouraging.
It's great.
For me, in the first days on the job, as I mentioned, I'm just trying to get to know different people, not just within the department, but also how the department interacts with other parts of county government and community partners. So I'm really enjoying and looking forward to those contacts. Also, I'm looking at our overall contracts. There's a lot of contracts that County Human Services has to provide different services. And generally, at the end of the year, there's a lot of those contracts that are coming due, so it provides us an opportunity to review some of those. I'll have some more of those probably coming before your meeting next week, as I did on I think it was my first or second day. And so, but kind of looking at that contracting as a whole, and are we getting value for those contracts? Are we, does it make the most sense to contract for that service as opposed to looking at what capacity we have within the agency to provide those services? So those are a few things that I'm.
Do we track all of that now?
We do. There's a process of, I don't know, I don't know the process yet, but there's,
Okay.
all the contracts are kind of compiled, and again, they're for a variety of different things, everything from services to children, to services for people with disabilities, to people who are seeking employment, waivered services, all sorts of things. And what I'm coming to find is that Houston County is part of a regional approach to many of these things, and often the hub of that region is Olmsted County. So I'm going to be visiting with some of the folks from that county who help coordinate some of these things, and I'll have a little better answer for you in the near future.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions, or?
Does anyone have any questions?
Seems like some of the contracts are just in case we might need them, you know, we line them up for, even if we don't use them, we don't pay.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, a lot of them are, they're based on using it. So
Right.
if we need to refer somebody to a specific service, there's a contract in place so that there's a bill source and those kinds of things.
right.
Anything else? Thank you very much for coming
You bet.
in.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Enjoy your week.
Yes.
And we can get back to the commissioner reports. Justin, did you have a?
No, no business, just side stuff. Obviously, I was talking to Sam earlier about some issues with some dilapidated buildings in my part of the county. So, dealing with that kind of stuff. The only comment that I have, just it's good to hear the audit in human services, and it sounds like things are going well. That department has been had some difficult times over the years, and it's nice to see that things are going smoothly. And obviously, give credit where credit is due. That between Bethany Moen and Karen Kohlmeyer and Linda Barr and all the top people keeping it going, it's obvious they did a good job. Mary Marshall coming as an interim, and now with John here, it's good to hear that department is on the straight and narrow.
My first peer review yesterday. Peer review of ballots. Really tricky, hard. Took 15 minutes. You kind of wonder what it's all about, but Shar makes it easy.
Shar runs a very good election in
Yeah,
Michelle.
you got that right.
I heard good comments in every area that I talked to people.
Thank you.
When you really, yeah, when you
We've
think
heard
it's,
lots of
training and
positives.
answer the
A
questions.
lot of positives, so thank you very much for the good job that you guys do.
Hey, speaking of that, I'm going to jump in on Steve's time here real quick, because he brought up a good point. Elections, do we ever, did you hear of any issues or anything anywhere, or is it all pretty smooth?
This year went really smooth.
Good.
Sarah?
one year I think you would expect to hear some,
We did.
you know,
We were.
oh, it went pretty well. Even when we think, you work, remember elections, I work elections, when you think you've really screwed up, you fix it. It just
That's what we're
never
there
a
for.
problem.
That is the key word when you're working elections. If
Yeah.
anybody has any questions, call Shar or
Yeah.
Michelle. Your number is posted.
That's what we're here for.
Is there any other business to come before the board today? Anything at all? Okay, so can we have a motion to adjourn?
I think
Do you have public
we
comment
have
this time?
public comment.
Didn't we do it last week?
We did last week, but nobody
Okay, well,
forward.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who would like to give public comment
Certainly
today?
okay.
Please come forward.
It's been some time since I attended some meetings here because...
Excuse me 1 second, please. Would you please state your name and your township?
Brian Van Gorp, Buchanan Township.
Thank you.
It's been some time since I've come to these meetings because I was pretty sure that you weren't interested in hearing public input anymore. Can you hear the public now? Can you hear the public now? I will give you a few examples of the anti-democratic efforts that likely caused the voters to reject you, Steve and Judy. Ignoring overwhelming majority public effort to ban frac sand mining in Houston County. Attempting to force citizens to pay for a ridiculously overbuilt Taj Mahal against public opinion. Attempting to limit or eliminate public input at county meetings. Being absolute in your commitment to not enforce the ordinance. Appointing and reappointing Board of Adjustment members, even in excess of their term limits, who could neither read nor understand the ordinance and are unwilling to consider evidence presented to them. Allowing bullying and misleading the public at public hearings by the chair of the Planning Commission, who was also soundly rejected by the voters. It is too late for you to do the right thing, even if you had a change of heart and wanted to. Perhaps the new board will learn a lesson from your mistakes. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Anyone else who would like to do public comment? We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.